My name is Anna Wolf, and the song is Dear Daddy. You're listening to the Social Impact Show with me, Sam Marshall. It is Tuesday. It is the official start of our work week. Yesterday was a holiday for a vast majority of us. I wonder what you got up to. Somebody who's back at work, fit as a fiddle, who last week when we engaged with her had white sand between her toes. She's now replaced the grime and the hustle of Johannesburg for the city streets of Durban. It's the Wealth Zen with Charmaine Soobramoney. Charmaine, how you doing?
I'm fabulous. Fabulous, Zen. I'm fabulous, Sam. It's good to be back, and yeah, it's good to engage with you and drop some nuggets where we can.
Yeah, I thought you were going to call me Mr. Marshall, but it's fine. You can just call me Sam. It's okay. You've got my permission to call me Sam. I don't know why I'm going on with you. I'm happy. I'm happy that you're happy, and yeah, always looking forward to the segment. And we've now worked our way through, a lot of thinking, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of kind of insightful nuggets from you. What do you think so far? This journey's been like.
Sam, I think it's really dependent on our listeners, though, but it's been a useful journey, I believe, to be able to share some information for those that are willing to be able to utilize it and improve and make a difference in their lives. Because right now, as you and I know, South Africans are highly indebted, right?
Yeah.
Our debt levels are ridiculous from a personal perspective as well as from a national perspective. And with the VAT relief, I mean, most people were expecting to pay out more money. And this is also an opportunity to view one's liability, meaning how much money they owe, because from a personal perspective, if you have credit card debt, a home loan or car loan, you pay interest on that money. And I think it's a great opportunity for people to just go, okay, relief, there's no increase in VAT. Let me understand what my liabilities are and what I'm owing. Go down a process where we list them, understand what the interest rates is, and have a snapshot as to where you are and what is it that you can do to free up money, because we all need some free cash to be able to create wealth. And this is the wealth journey from a holistic perspective.
Yeah, and last week we talked about that. This week we'll focus on the word liability and what that means.
Yeah. And last week, Sam, you used quite a beautiful analogy where you basically used a tree. And as we know, we often focus on the fruits of the tree rather than the time that it takes for the tree to bed itself down, because it grows down first, right? Into the darkness, into the dirt, into the resilience. And today, what we're going to share is that darkness, actually. And not many people want to be in the dark. Everybody wants to be in the light bearing the
Yeah.
fruit, but that's a journey as well. And I think the tree analogy is something we need to build on to just bring it home that in order to enjoy any fruit, it requires each of us to actually do the hard work or the dirty work that we call it. And I've had multiple conversations with people where, and I think I told you, we've had research done. 80% of people would rather chat to their children about sex rather than their financial situation. And it is time that we get down to whoever's willing to get down to understanding the liabilities and how best we move out of that for our own peace and our own wealth creation and intergenerational wealth, should we wish to create that.
Yeah, and how do you look at liability? Because there is, from my understanding, so for example, um, people don't realize this, and some people do. We're not all on the same level. I only came to terms with this a couple of years ago, that there are things like good debt and bad debt. So I'm
Oh,
kind of
there is,
thinking
yeah.
from a liability perspective, is all liability bad?
No, no, definitely not. You're actually on point. So good debt, which is, for example, borrowing for real estate, right? Where you want to buy money for a rental property, and that's going to pay off your debt, provided it's in a good area and you've done all your work, and also give you a source of income. So utilizing money. using debt to create wealth is not a bad thing, provided it's done, you do your due diligence, and it's not a bad purchase, if that makes sense. Good debt could also be from an educational perspective, provided that education is going to give you a return. In this day and age, borrowing for education is questionable in terms of the way the world is moving and in terms of the available resources available freely for people to be able to utilize it to benefit themselves in the wealth creation process. Does that make sense to you, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely does.
Yeah. Bad debt is largely when people borrow for consumption. For example, because the bank can give you a loan to be able to buy a car, and you only need a car to take you from A to Z, and they're offering you R1 million because your situation allows for that level of credit, people go take it and buy that car. Is that asset generating you income? Are you using that for an Uber facility? If not, then that's a bad debt.
Yeah.
Sam, are you there?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. I think there's a gremlin in our system that just fired the 919. But yeah, so you were talking about even though you qualify for a credit level, doesn't necessarily mean that's a good idea.
Definitely not, though, because in the world of consumption, right? Institutions want to be able to give people a lot of credit because they benefit from the interest that they actually accrue. And we spoke about self-love and being aware of what is it that you want to achieve in the world and how you want to actually show up. Most people feel they align their value, and sad to say, but that's the reality, to their material stuff. And sometimes if you don't really have the resources to be able to buy those stuff and you're relying on credit, it takes you deeper into the well of owing people money, the whole liability. So your liability exceeds your income and you're always in the negative and you find it difficult to get out of the red zone. So my ask or my appeal today to all of us who's actually on this call is do a liability check. And what I mean by that, go into that space where you list everything. Take your bank statements, go onto your app and understand what is it that you're paying and who you're paying it to. Even the smallest of loans, Sam, you need to actually list it. Understand the interest rate, what is the term, and how you can actually start paying it off in a way that's going to be beneficial to yourself. Because if you fail to do that, and if you fail to create that snapshot picture, you're always going to be literally in the dark where your finances are concerned. And some people think if they don't talk about it or don't address it, they could wish it away. No, you don't. It just creates an additional level of stress that you can actually manage, Sam.
Yeah, and something you mentioned that's quite interesting, and I don't know, I don't want to talk for anybody because I think we're all living very different experiences, but maybe it's something you can answer, and if you can't, it's maybe a question we should ask. Why don't people go through their bank statements and read fine prints? And even in the world of AI, where AI makes it easier for you, a lot of us don't read our statements. And when we do our budgets, some of us, we don't include the 20 Rand, the 30 Rand, and the 40 Rand that we're spending. And that 40, 30, 50 Rand is the stuff that's eating into our budgets.
You are so on point, Sam. So I'm going to give you an example, right? I can't actually answer the question as to why people don't completely read it. Sometimes it's as I said, it's not work that people love doing. Doing a budget for most people is challenging. And until they get to the idea of actually doing it and realizing the value there is after you've done it, and the ability to be able to navigate the spaces of finance and how you increase your assets and how you reduce this and how you can pay off the debt, and the satisfaction comes from those little wins, unless we commit to doing it. And I've done it with multiple people, and there's really, really joy in doing that process once you get started. My point I'm making, Sam, is people find it hard to start because I rather not know what I don't already. I know it's bad, but I don't want to know how bad it is in some situations. And to your point, it's critical for people to read this. And I'll give you an example. Years back, I was paying a financial advisor that was automatic on a statement that I had with a financial institution that I got no advice for. And only after I sat back and said, let me look at my statement, I've paid over like 30,000 Rand in advisor fee, Sam, without realizing that I got no advice from it. So those little amounts for after a period of time can actually accumulate to quite a substantial amount of money. So the reason I'm sharing that for people to take your point and go look at your bank statements, sit down, understand. And I know, Sam, you say your area that you actually service, most of them are relatively wealthy, but wealth is relative. People can earn large amounts of money, but don't really have a net worth. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the beauty, or don't have a positive outcome at the end of the month. And the beauty of us having these conversations and putting it online is because we're able to spread the message to people beyond the area that your radio station services.
Yeah.
And to be able to make a difference there.
And so as we wrap up and we think about liability and we think about the impact of liabilities. Last week we spoke about liability from a friendship perspective. I just want kind of your big think that we need to do this week around liabilities.
Sam, I think I'm just going to close by saying, if you really want to sit in the shade of the tree or eat the fruits of the tree, then it's incumbent upon all of us to be able to just sit down and get a snapshot of what is it that you are owing, because whatever you're owing is not just that capital that you owe. There's an interest component to it. Get a feel of what that really is and start chipping at that slowly, because the intention is wealth creation. The intention is more than that. In addition to financial wealth, it's about peace, Sam. And once we can get to that state of peace and that resilience that we build, life becomes more enjoyable for more of us. And that's the mission and the goal.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's that it does give you peace. And I've been watching a lot of documentaries and a lot of podcasts. And the idea with wealthier individuals is that their money buys them time. Because time, unfortunately, is the one thing that is not an infinite resource. It's running out now as we speak. So people with more resources get their time back.
Absolutely. And I mean, the acronym for wealth is T, right? So we've just finished our L. So next week, we're going to be talking or building on time. And the H, as we know, is health and happiness. But more than that, time, in addition to time, because time gives you the flexibility to do what you choose to do. So you're not compelled to do things that you have to do just to be able to pay off your liabilities and your debt, right? Being able to make your money, make more money, is the intention behind it. So getting rid of your liability and freeing up cash gives you an option to be able to utilize that money to make more money. We spoke about interest and compounding. So that's in the asset building. In a liability perspective, there's also compounding of interests that's making you poorer. And therefore, it's critical that this liability process and exercise, list it, understand the interest rates, and understand how you're going to pay it back and what you're going to pay first, will actually free up some cash, give you a sense of where you are, and also start you on the journey of creating an element of peace that everybody's looking for.
Yeah. Now, you've given us some serious food for thought. As always, Charmaine Soobramoney, thank you very much. Founder of Each One Hold One, sits on many boards. I'm not going to wrap your CV off, but just so that people understand that, you're really giving us food for thought. And if anything strikes a chord with you, go to a licensed professional. If you need to do financial planning, if you need to do that, if you need to use resources freely available from any of your banks, there's a lot of resources available from banks. Go and do the work in order to become a freer and get rid of the liability in your life.
Absolutely, Sam. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate that. You and I are going down the journey together. Thank you.
Me too. I enjoy it as well. I enjoy it as much. Thank you. I was going to say something silly, but then I had to catch myself.
It's me.
That's fine. Look, you're back in studio again next week.
Definitely.
So thank
You'll
you.
see me next week, for sure. Love and light
Thank you very
guys.
much.
Take
Love
care.
and light to you. We'll continue our conversation after 11. We'll have a chat to Petco and talk about their journey.